Stewie has always played way above his level. I know because while he was in Open, he subbed in for my CEVO Pro placement team and got 40 kills versus Premier and former Invite players with a really smart 1v3 that probably won us the whole game. Keep in mind that this was years ago, so plays like this weren't as standard as they are now. And since then, Stewie sharpened and refined his decision making, movement, and even aim. Today we study clips from CS Summit where Stewie made the absolute most of high pressure situations, going over option coverage and reasoning. This is going to be more of a psychological type of video where we lay out decision trees and explain why choices are made. As Stewie comes up to A main, Optic take mid control. One general rule about CSGO is that if mid control is taken on almost any map, there are usually 3 players that are occupied, meaning that an anti-eco setup, for example, isn't possible, and therefore A or B are easier to push. On A, either through Squeaky or A main, and B at B main. In this case, it seems Stewie was either going to push for info or play forklift because he has an ump and wants a close position. Upon Automatic's call and knowledge that he was traded out by Jason, it's understood, number 1, that there was 1 player boosting moments ago, and number 2, that 2 people went over. He jump peeks to make sure that the player boosting, or if there's another one holding pushes, that they're not doing it from A main. Stewie pushes up A main to make sure that there isn't anyone white truck. This is a common hold position that T's use, and so he gives it a second because players often hide and peek so as not to get pre-fired. He then comes out of A main to see that Rush has walked over to hold Squeaky. Because Rush is too far away for his ump to definitely kill him, Stewie's decision tree was either to take a fight with any remaining mid-take players, or continue past Rush and kill someone from behind at mid or B, so that he could tell his teammate that Rush was last seen Squeaky, without Rush knowing his position has been compromised. Stewie then takes the fight with Boost and still doesn't want to fight Rush, so just tries to tag him on the way out as he attempts to reposition. The panic option here would be running away to spawn, fighting all those long angles, and being almost completely useless at stopping T's from taking more map control. Instead, he chooses to stay calm but diligent and hang on to the bit of map control that he's just fought for. Stewie hears Rush get hit by his smoke, and then realizes that he has to take the fight. He pushes forward to the wall to compensate for the ump's damage fall off, holds his crosshair out assuming Rush will swing wide, and perfectly gauges the distance. Further, if we look from Rush's POV, we see that he wasn't expecting Stewie to come out that low because he was still moving. This was basically a battle of when and where are you going to peek, because one of us has to in this situation. Naf reacts as soon as Terror gets knocked off boost and spots Stewie running away from Rush. Proceeds to spray and then follows up by simply trying to trap Stewie. But just as Stewie wins that duel versus Rush, well, just look at it from Naf's POV. This was a moment of understanding that Naf was going to peek, which is smart and all, but more so just an absolutely ridiculous shot. Job's done, really. This last kill is actually just reactionary, but still pretty cool. Jsnar by this time has come all the way back from mid just to take out this one kid with an ump that's hopefully low, and touchdown. Stewie remembered or had it called that Jason was the last at mid and was the one who killed Automatic, so originally decided to throw the nade over boost, but simply readjusted upon hearing footsteps and trades from the grave to close out the round. C9 come back and win the map in OT, and although Stewie did have the best gun in the game, literally destroyed a crossfire and outsmarted 3 players with no time to think. Here's Stewie in upper bracket finals. It was a rough start to the round as C9 attempted to run down mid to shake things up following a pause from SK. It didn't work out so hot, but Stewie was able to get a kill and fall off, though not before hearing players on all sides of him at halls grouping for A. He runs by Taco, who is able to see him, but is unable to warn Cold in time, who gets shoulder peeked and then no-scoped. Stewie knows at this moment based on sound that there's one more person at mid and one waiting for him in the halls. His choices in Taco's mind are jump out of window and go back to mid, or walk back through halls. It's at this moment that Stewie let a shot ring off outside of apps that once again showed that he's more comfortable holding on to map control than he is venturing off into a useless part of the map just to stay safe. His play is to cut off 2 out of 3 choke points and hope that nobody is late mid. First the Molotov for the immediate threat of Fur, who may have been comfortable peeking from mid, and then a smoke for the end of long haul in case Taco decides to flank him late. Also, jumping to second balcony here wasn't a panic play. He gave him an off angle to watch window, where he's attempted to funnel both of them. Fur grabs a kill at Arch, and the Molotov intended to fend him off is now wearing off. Stewie decides to push through his own smoke and walk up the stairs. To both Taco and Stewie's credit here, they managed to both grab off angles and forced each other to flick, but Stewie was too nice with it and ops him instantly. Here's the tough part to watch. Stewie doesn't throw this flash for no reason. At 14 HP, he needs to go and find a way to shoot Fur in the back. And because he just gave Fur his exact location by shooting Taco, Stewie now needs to create some misdirection. Flash is thrown into Boiler to make it seem as if he's going back to watch the bomb as you normally would. But because getting pre-fired is not an option for him, this play wouldn't make much sense. Also, if Fur decided to stall long enough, no spot that he could watch the bomb from would be safe from being flanked. Unscoping and scoping would be a nightmare in that circumstance. Now, I doubt Stewie went as far as to consider those extended possibilities, but I'm sure he was at least mindful that because he doesn't know exactly where Fur was, that he would be risking getting killed crossing if he tried to go to the back of vault to watch the bomb. Fur is one step ahead, calls out his play, sneaks into boiler, and shoots Stewie in the side. But at the end of the day, it was a notable attempt with a lot to take from it. Sadly, most players will never be able to sift through this amount of information as quickly, let alone hit shots that are as tough as these. But a lot can be borrowed from slowing down and unpacking Stewie's thought process in these clips. For example, a big reason Stewie stays alive in both these situations is because he stands his ground. Many times, players are given a moment to breathe and take the opportunity to find an exit that is actually less safe than continuing to fight. Considering practical options quickly is what he does well, but one of the main deterrents from this play and others is fear coupled with indecision. Also, as much as Stewie is forced to flick wildly at times, he's really only moving his mouse when it's necessary. There are positions in which you are forced to split up your time between two angles, like Taco is here for example, but otherwise spinning at every opportunity only makes it harder to reset your mouse and hit any shots at all. Bottom line is, don't freak out. Don't assume that there are players at every corner. Only play off the information that you were given, and from there cut down the time each decision takes.